Nganjuk last Ramadan and Son Horek. On the 28th morning around 9 o'clock, I rode my motorcycle to Nganjuk by myself. I don't know why, but every time I go back to Nganjuk, I get mixed feeling between being nostalgic, excited, but also expecting to be greeted in the over-dramatic style of my extended family. But that's okay, it's called family. Sometimes it makes me dizzy, but I still look for them if I don't see them for a long time. The road at that time was quite. The morning breeze was quite cool. The sun was not too fierce. I took my motorcycle slowly so I could enjoy the route while occasionally looking at the yellowing rice field on the left and right. Typical village atmosphere. I chill on the bike with my helmet half open, a light jacket, and an old playlist playing from my cell phone that I took into the front pocket of my jacket. Even though I was alone, it felt peaceful. Because I was already calm, the whole way became a place to think about random things. From thinking about the fate of the thesis, who will marry first in the family, to thinking about how it feels to be a takjil seller who sells well every Ramadan. My head was spinning, but it was fun. When I finally home, the sound of children screaming, the laughter of adults, plus the smell of cooking from the kitchen that can be smelled outside the fence. I swear it was so crowded. I haven't even entered the house yet. I've already been attacked from the front door. Why? Here she comes. Haha, finally the chill approached too. Pulled, hug, pinch cheek, ruffle hair. One side I'm thinner, another side I'm more of an teen. There were also those who immediately say, "Where's your boyfriend? Why aren't you invited?" In fact, I never even brought my boyfriend to the house. I don't know why. I'm not the same. I just don't think it's time yet. Or maybe it's because I don't want them to make a fuss and compare. You know how families can be. I just smiled politely while holding my breath so I wouldn't look too bad. I was tired, having just gotten off the motorbike and being bombarded with stubble interrogation. But deep down, I understand. They're like that because they miss me and want to be close. It's just that sometimes their expressions are complicated. Finally, I looked for my parents and found them sitting in the living room. They smiled as soon as they saw me and immediately pulled me to sit next to them. We chatted a bit, unwinding, asking each other how we were doing, but before long, my grandparents come to joining in. And yep, entered the long, unsolicited advice session. My grandmother is a candle person in the universe. Her voice is so soft, her face is cool, and she always has a way of talking that makes us unable to get angry even though sometimes the chatter goes on and on. You shouldn't play so much, kid, she said with a smile. It's not good for your health. Don't skip your prayer, continued my grandfather, with a super serious face and tone, like he was giving a sermon. I could only nod like a dashboard doll. My grandfather is the opposite of my grandmother. He's chatty, very old school, and everything he saw must be listened to from beginning to end. But I really love them. They are the type of parent who, although sometimes they make me dizzy, they're very warm-hearted. I actually understand that they are like that because they care. They don't know how to express their longing other than through advice. But yes, every time I go home, I get the same template. The content, seems to be copied from last year, last month, last week. But that's okay, I just think of it as part of the tradition of going home. In the afternoon, my aunt invited me to go out looking for takjil. We went to the main highway, which had turned into a sea of people. Many were selling, many were viewing. My little cousin ran around while choosing snack. I just followed them. We walked the hot and savory pentol, which burned out mouth with every bite. The colorful fruit ice that was so refreshing, and the ice teller, it was well so sweet that it's cause diabetes, but still delicious. Bring all the food home, then open together at grandparent house. The dining table was full, plates were lined up, glasses were overflowing, and the conversation kept flowing from artist gossip, village politics, to the future plans of a cousin who said he wanted to go to school out of town. The last Ramadan like this is inherently mellow. There's a sense of joy, but also sadness that this month will be over. I don't know, it just feels different. Maybe it's the atmosphere, maybe it's the people, or maybe it's because I am in a place where I'm thinking a lot. After opening, the house is more crowded. There are those who wash the dish, those who lie down, those who pray Taraweh together, and those who have prepared a position to watch TV. I went out to the terrace, sitting alone while watching the night begin to descend. In the distance, I could hear the sound of takbiran, but it wasn't the takbir I was familiar with. Nowadays, many people use sound horek for takbiran. You know, right? A hack of sound system mounted on a pickup, playing a DJ remix version of the takbir song. The sound, oh my god, it can be a bit a concert. My heart was pounding, not because of emotion, but because I was shocked every bit. Honestly, I don't like it. I miss the takbiran of the old day. The one where you walk around the village, carrying torches, carrying bells, while takbir using real voice. It feels more sacred, more helpful. Now it's like a street party, but never mind. Maybe this is their way of celebrating, but still, I miss the old five. At 9 o'clock in the evening, my mom came to my room and said, "Tonight, you sleep here, so you don't have to worry about it tomorrow morning." I just nodded, even though I knew in my heart that this night will be another one of my insomniac nights. And sure enough, I just lay down. My eyes were already heavy, but I couldn't relax. The sound of laughter in the living room was still loud. The little kids were still active. The TV was playing a comedy show that was getting more and more absurd. My cousin, who was just chatting with me, has fallen down at 3 o'clock. I was the only one still awake. I stare at the ceiling of my room. Occasionally, I see the shadow from the street light coming through the window. My mind was spinning again. Why is it that I can't sleep when I am at my grandparents' house? Why does life seem to be moving so fast? Why is takbiran now like a dangdut concert? From thinking about the deep to the trivial, everything rotates like a carousel. But the funny thing is, nights like this actually become a place for reflection that I didn't plan. I think about my life, my family, my childhood, things that I used to take for granted, but now become expensive memories. Sometimes I feel like a stranger in the middle of my own family, not because I'm not accepted, but because sometimes the way they show love is different from what I expect. But yes, the more I realize not all love has too much expectation. The important thing is that they love me, even if the way they do it is sometimes absurd. At 5:30, The sound of takbiran began to fade. The sky began to change color. Fajr is just around the corner. I'm still awake, but I don't regret it. The evening was like a small gift from the universe, a gift of time to think, to feel, to be quiet, and see everything from another perspective. I'm actually not a very religious person, but on the last night of Ramadan this year, I felt something different. There's a warmth that can't be explained. Maybe it's because I went through everything with my family. Maybe it's because I need peace, or maybe it's because I realize that I will never repeat this moment again. And maybe underneath all the unnecessary babbling, big hug, and repeat advice, there's a little thing that always pulls me back home.